We are in the thick of the HBCU baseball season, and we have a very special show today for you guys where we are going to get into some of the standouts from the season and also make some predictions for the SIAC and the SWAC baseball tournament. I am Symone Stanley, and joining me today is the president of Minority Baseball Prospects, Reginald Hollins, and I'll add too, you are a Tuskegee Athletics Hall of Famer as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. So, Minority Baseball Prospects, you guys organized the first ever HBCU All-Star Game. The third annual game is coming up this year.
That's right.
In June. Where did the idea come from, and where did the need come from for an HBCU Baseball All-Star Game?
Great question. So our founder and CEO, Alex White, he's the brainchild behind it. And we were good friends before I came on with MVP as the president, but we would bounce ideas off of each other, and he would just kind of be into my world. So before coming to MVP, I was the head coach at Tuskegee, and just kind of really had a chance to spend 15 years in the HBCU world. But I would tell them just, the difficulty of getting exposure for our athletes. And so he said, hey man, what better thing to do than create, an event that will help with exposure. So that's where it kind of started from. He bounced it off me and the team, and the rest is history. The first annual event was held in Hoover in 2021. So exposure, visibility, scouting, just embodying the HBCU culture into our baseball world. Those were all the things that we wanted to address, and that's what got us to starting this beautiful event.
And this year is going to be the third annual event at Truist Park again in Atlanta. So you are around baseball all the time, and you guys cover minority prospects on all levels, across all conferences as well, not just the HBCU space. But what makes HBCU baseball so special from the other brands?
I think it's original. You'll see a various amount of athletes, man. HBCU baseball is going to be very athletic, very competitive, almost like a live nature with how we play the game in our culture. So you're going to see, a lot of base stealing, a lot of hit and run, not your contemporary style. It's very exciting. We bring flair to the game, and that's what you see in our HBCU, pockets of baseball.
And that's something that you guys emphasize as well with MVP, the flash,
Absolutely.
the flair. We see the jersey you rocking today.
Yeah. Shout out to Tyrone White. He's our creative design person for our team, and also our VP. So he does a great job at making sure we hit on all cylinders with all equipment and apparel.
Okay, so when it comes to selecting the guys that will become MVP HBCU All-Stars, do you have a certain process of selecting a certain amount of guys from each conference and the NAIA, or is it just the top dogs are the top dogs?
Correct. I think it was an emphasis on our executive team to make sure we include everybody. So when I say everybody, I mean Division I, Division II, D3, JUCO, NAIA, because there are various HBCUs at all levels, and we wanted to be inclusive of everybody. So we make it a point to at least give everybody one student athlete, in softball and baseball to represent as an all-star. And then we kind of up the ante with those who have really put in some good numbers, a successful season, so we can make sure we celebrate what they've accomplished.
Okay, so let's get into some names. I've seen you guys all over social media already teasing some names, sending out some invites. So who are some guys that have been really standing out so far this season?
Man, some standouts we've seen. He's like I say he's our HBCU poster child. Cameron Buford from Grambling, outstanding bat. Ian Matos from Alabama State. I would say, what's his name? Adderley. I think he's from out of Texas Southern. You got Hall from Bethune. Bethune has some really amazing arms that are actually prospects on our MLB radar. And then you're talking about really good arms from FAMU, Nets, Vets. You have Trey Page from Delaware State, just to name a few, and there's so many more that will be selected.
So when are the final selections going to come out?
Final selection should wrap up maybe end of April. So we should know a full roster, and then we're also trying to plan a live draft just to give a full effect and excitement around the game. You know, we'll select those captains who will serve both sides, and they can kind of filter from the selections.
Okay, so last season there was 2 HBCU players drafted to the MLB. Both of those guys were HBCU All-Stars playing in your all tournament, one from Texas Southern and Jonathan Thomas, and then also a catcher from Grambling and John Garcia.
Absolutely.
2 Johns.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's a coincidence or what.
both were outstanding. Both represented well in last year's HBCU game, and then just the entire season.
Yeah.
As you know, in baseball, it's tough to be consistent. So, you know, those 2, hats off to them, and well-deserved.
So who are some guys that are on the draft radar this year?
That's a good question because we had a chance to get out early. Our scout team had a chance to get out early and cover some SWAC baseball, and then also some MEAC baseball. So I would say Meacham from North Carolina A&T. He's going to be an upper 90s guy who's going to really flash it well, clean arm path. You'll be able to see him, you know, at the All-Star game as well. He's an early selection. You have Gonzalez. You have Joan Gonzalez, who's also another top arm. So that's from Bethune-Cookman. So you have a flash of guys, but it's kind of hard to say because you have some guys who are kind of teeter-tottering right there that will bloom late. And that's a big purpose of what we want to do for this HBCU game, just give them the opportunity to be seen. So we got a scout combine day the day before the game, and scouts have, you know, already okayed that they'll be there to kind of give our guys a look before the draft.
So do you have an idea of who the coaches might be this season?
We can't ruin that surprise yet. That's going to be a surprise that we got coming. But we're really trying to bring some household baseball names in here to.
Some household names.
Some familiar
some
names.
Some Atlanta household names? Like.
Nah, this is actually some major league household names. We're trying to work on that, and so we can't ruin the surprise, you know.
The way he's smiling.
I wish I could break it, but it's still in the works. So.
Okay, so you don't want to say it, and everybody like, we got to go out because he's going to be there, and then he ain't going to be there.
There you go. There you go.
So, talking about the season, in the SWAC, you have said Bethune, last season, Alabama State took home the SWAC championship. Mm-hmm. They're looking really strong again this season, but why do you think Bethune-Cookman could be that team to come out on top?
Yeah, Bethune's strong on the bump, on the mound. And, again, that's where the game starts up the middle. So, for Bethune to have the weapons that they have on the mound and then also in the lineup, it's going to present a nice challenge between Alabama State and then also, too, it's tournament. So I don't want to just throw those names out there for SWAC because you have FAMU, who's in the contention, Jackson State. They look pretty good. Alabama A&M's a sleeper this year. You know, you just never know. It's all about getting hot at the right time for tournaments. So, but those 2 teams, they've been pretty consistent all year.
And when we look over at your SIAC, because the SWAC and the SIAC are the only 2 HBCU conferences that play baseball, with the MEAC teams now playing in the NEC conference.
Absolutely.
So when you look at the SIAC, I know you're a Tuskegee guy.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Y'all had a good basketball season.
We did. Men's and women. Shout out to Trelane Powell and also Benji Taylor for amazing seasons.
But when we looking at the baseball.
Yeah, so this year, I think SIAC contender, you always have Albany State, Savannah State. They're at the top right now. So both of those schools. But again, it's tournament. I've been on the other side of it, you know, coming in as a mid-tier team, you know, who kind of struggled during the year and then got hot at the right time. So it's all about getting hot at the right time. But those 2 schools kind of stand out to us. So
what is it about Albany State and Savannah State? The past couple of years, they've been really strong in baseball, and usually the top guys at the end of the season. What is it about those programs? Yeah, I think they just play all phases of the game well. They pitch, they hit, they timely hit.
You know, that's a big thing. Not just timely hits.
Right.
And I think that if you do all of those things right at the right time, you're gonna be tough to beat. Mm-hmm. And that's been the problem for the SIAC with those two.
Okay, well, Reggie, I appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming on here, dropping some knowledge, and getting the people excited about the All-Star game that will be in Atlanta at Truist Park in June. We're excited.
Coolray.
Oh, it's Coolray?
Yeah, so we moved to Coolray. Yeah, so.
That's cool.
Yeah,
still.
Absolutely. But it's gonna really open up some things for us to be able to program a little bit more and
intimately
add like the intimacy and also the tailgating feel. So we'll have a tailgating flow that goes before into the game. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
So make sure y'all are out there. Of course, we'll be out there. HBCU game day in the streets with our guys from Minority Baseball Prospects. But guys, he is Reginald Hollins. I am Symone Stanley. Of course, this is HBCU game day in the ATL studios. Thank you guys so much for joining us.